All right, all right. You know what time it is? Time for the Noontime, My Time podcast. We're about to get into it. Let's talk it out. Talk it out Tuesday with Tori and MsTonya. That's what it is, people. That's what it is. We're going to have a good day today. We got a good topic for you guys. We got a good topic. All right, so let's go ahead and start the show. All right. We are here. Yes, we are. You know what's going on? It's Talk It Out Tuesday on the Noontime, My Time podcast. I am MsTonya. I am here to start this whole thing out. Welcome. You know what we're going to do today? Tori and I, we get here, we get together, we just have some real talk. We talk about some of everything under the sun. So you get to join us in a candid and honest conversation about topics that have been on your mind, that's been on my mind, Tori's mind. And we're not afraid to dive in deep or get a little petty because, hey, sometimes we just need to talk it out. And it's that simple. That's what Talk It Out Tuesday is about. You dig? All right. So I tell you guys what. Today we are talking about helpmates. Helpmates. Yes. Do you know what that is? Do you have an idea of what having a real helpmate is? Women, are you out here supporting your partners? That's what we're going to get into. We're trying to figure out if you're helping your partner elevate their game, or you helping them elevate to that level of success by you can be that secret weapon behind him. You know, they say behind every great man is a woman. That's what they say. So how are you all doing that? Let's have a conversation about it. Conversation about helpmates. Before we get into the conversation, before Tori comes in here, we start to chatting and talking and you start making your comments. You know what we got to do? We got to do a little breath work. Yeah, we get ready to take a little bit of our time back. We get ready to recalibrate. We get ready to take it on down a notch because we want to feel good. Y'all ready? What I want you to do is inhale to the count of 4. And we're going to hold it for a few seconds. And then we're going to exhale. And we'll hold that for a few seconds. And we'll repeat that a few times. Now, you can close your eyes if you're in a place that you can do that. I don't want you to do that if you're driving. Don't do that if you're driving. Don't do that if you're actually sitting at the desk. If you got your headpods on and you're taking a listen, we'll vibrate with us and listen. But if you can close your eyes, close your eyes. You want to take it a step further, put your hands over your heart and feel that you are alive. That's you. Let's get into it. Inhale to the count of 4. Hold that a few seconds. Exhale. Hold that a few seconds. Inhale again. Hold that a few seconds. Exhale. One more time. Let's inhale. Hold it a few seconds. And exhale. Yeah. Doesn't that feel great? I know it feels great. And I got Tori already in here because I just want to get this topic flowing and going. What's up, Tori?
What it do? We back at it. It's another Tuesday for a great conversation, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, once again, you hit me with one that I had to think about a little bit. I was like, okay, Tori sent me this video. Let me watch this video. Let me see what you want to talk about. And it sounds like to me, it sounds like a helpmate situation. I don't know. That was my interpretation. So what
Mhm.
I'm thinking is we probably need to why don't we play the video to kick it off? What you think about that? Or you wanna start talking already?
No, I want you to play the video.
Okay. Let's get into this video here. All right. Let me press let me get it started. Because I never heard
Understands
of
what
this
the
guy.
mission is. She
Wait,
ain't gonna do nothing but aid you
hold on. Let
to
me
get
let me
into your
start that over.
purpose. Fellas, if that woman is trying to pull you away from your purpose, pull you away from your passion, you picked the wrong woman. It's as simple as that. Because a woman who's about you, a woman who there for the right reasons, a woman who understands what the mission is, she ain't gonna do nothing but aid you to get into your purpose. If she gotta pick up a damn, organizer to make sure that you don't miss no meetings, or if she gotta, jump in and make phone calls for you and be the intermediary between you and maybe a business opportunity, whatever the case may be, she gonna do that. If she gotta jump in and do R&D, research maybe a proposition or something that you may be looking into, she gonna do that. She's gonna find a way to aid you in whatever it is that you're doing, wherever it is that you're trying to go, because she loves you and she understands the fact that if you feel fulfilled, then you in turn is going to facilitate her feeling the exact same way. And that's the type of woman that you marry. Fellas, if that woman is trying to
Mhm.
pull you away from your purpose.
All right now. You heard what the brother said, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
He said
yes,
that's the
yes.
type of one. Let me know
Mm.
why you chose to send me that. Let the people know what sparked interest in having a conversation about this for you.
Well, I think it's important for us as women to support our mates. And I actually been following this guy for a while, and he drops some nuggets all the time. But that one was really spoke volumes for me because I used to think that there was something wrong with me because that's the type of woman that I am. I like to make sure I lift you up. I like to encourage you, and I like to pour in whoever I'm dating. I like to, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to do whatever I can to make you fulfill your purpose. And sometimes we get caught up and in some situations we lose ourselves because we're pouring so much into them, but you got to pay attention because there has to be some reciprocity. And I was glad to hear him say that fellas, when you have that type of woman and the woman elevates you like that, that should make you want to elevate her as well. So that's why I chose that particular video.
Okay. Okay, I
Yeah.
got you. I got you.
Yeah.
And I like what he said. And there
Mhm.
is I heard something that you said here that was very key to me. You said sometimes in doing that, you could possibly lose yourself. So that was interesting. Hear you say that because I know that experience as well. But I very much agree with you. I feel like if you are going to be in relationship with this person, this is your mate, you are married. He brought up something very key. He said, this is the type of woman you marry.
Mhm.
And he's right. You got to know that. You've got to know who is there and who has your back and who is, doing some of those things that he said. Picking up some of that slack where it's necessary, or shall I say, doing some of the things that he may not be as good at. It's kind of like you got to know your role and you get in there and you do what you have to do to make this whole thing works because ultimately it's for your family. So I get
Mm.
it. Very much the
Right.
same type of uh, wife that I was. So I get it. But I do want to say this. I also get when you pour that much, if it is not reciprocated, at what point do you stop? what point do you realize that, hey, I can't do this, or hey, I've lost myself too much? Because I don't imagine you think that you've lost yourself if the whole thing was working.
That's the thing. When you lose yourself, that's when you know it's not working. You're with the wrong person when you lose yourself. I feel as though you're with the wrong person when you lose yourself because I believe in reciprocity. And as I look back over my life, I realized that there was only one relationship that there was reciprocity. And I messed that up.
Well, at
Listen, I
least
could
you're honest enough to admit that a lot of people don't want
yeah.
to go there.
Yeah, I messed it up. I could have been 20 plus years married.
Wow.
But I
What's
messed it up.
Let me
I
say
messed
this. When I mean, because you can be married and have a relationship, and he could have a job, you could have a job, both one or the other, whatever the case may be. You don't
Mhm,
necessarily have to be entrepreneurs. So this particular topic that we're talking about as it relates to
mhm,
helpmates,
mhm,
this is really when it comes to business ventures, that's a totally different dynamic, because entrepreneurship has so many challenges. There's just a
mhm.
lot to be done. So I can see where an entrepreneur will really have a lot to gain by having that woman behind his back. Like they always say, like the saying goes, in fact, behind every great man is a woman.
You know it. You know it.
Yeah.
And
So
I think it applies to both though, like the entrepreneur and the hardworking man. It applies to both. I look at it from both stands. If it's an entrepreneur or a hardworking man, it's just important for us as women to support them as well as them, the men supporting us as well. Because look at the situation with the relationship with um Tabitha Brown
mhm,
and her husband,
right.
um, how she supported him and now he's in full support of her. So there has to be some reciprocity, and there has to be.
Okay, let we got some comments coming in here already, so let's kind of get into it and see what's going on. I see we got Les Eccles in the building. How you doing, Les? Good afternoon.
What's up, Les? Les says, but are you vocalizing you don't feel it's being reciprocated, or is that supposed to be understood? Men are visual. It needs to be vocalized. I need help. I'm tired, etc. Um, Sometimes, Liz, I feel as though we as women we have to vocalize it so that you will know, because you don't know what we're feeling or what we need if we don't vocalize it. Because I've actually been in a relationship before where I did not vocalize it. And he told me, he's like, Tori, how do you expect me to know? I can't read your mind. Why don't you say, because, and this is the thing, a lot of times we make the mistake of, like, my love language is one thing, their love language may be something totally different, but we expect them to automatically know our love language when we never told them what it was. And then I've also been in a relationship where they knew without me saying a word. They just knew. But sometimes you have to vocalize what it is that you need. And with me, I've been in relationships to where I can be overly concerned. Like if I ask to do, like, are you good? Are you okay? And they said, Tori, I'm fine. And I feel that they're not. I keep, are you sure you're okay? And then and I ask them that if they're okay, to the point where they're like, Tori, will you please just leave me alone? I ask them so much that they get annoyed. So I have taken notes when men tell me, well, Tori, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that, then I take note. And sometimes if it's necessary, I make the necessary changes, because I had one ex tell me, he said, Tori, listen, because I never was the type of woman that nagged a lot. But I'm gonna say what I say sometimes. And he told me one day, and it stuck with me ever since. He said, Tori, I already have to fight with the world. I don't need to come back and fight with you too. And I was like, whoa.
That's deep. That's deep. And that's the truth. That is the truth. And particularly and we know it, for our Black
Yeah.
men out here. It's rough
Yeah.
out here. And I
Right.
kind of want to keep the topic just a little bit in what the guy was talking about as he was an entrepreneur, and as we are talking about helpmates. And I
Mhm.
know it goes across the board for working men, but I just want to make a point here. I
Mhm.
feel like as a partner for someone who who started a business venture, it's important
Mhm.
that we understand his vision. You're going to have to be able to take the time out and pay attention to his vision. You need to know what his goals are. You need to discuss his aspirations. You guys gotta, you gotta talk about his strategy, what his long-term plans are. And if you do that, if you're having those type of conversations with him, that's going to enable you to understand where you might be able to support, where you can contribute, and do that effectively without being in the way, without being overbearing, without being pushy or trying to take over. Because remember, this is a situation where you're being a helpmate, and there's a difference. And I like what you said about the guy who told you he's out here, he's fighting with the world. He don't want to come home and have to fight with you too. So I feel like being that support as a woman, as a partner, you got to be that emotional support. You know what I mean? Well, I see we
Right.
got a comment here from Les. What has Les got going on?
Les says, exactly. He started our relationship with that comment. And I think it was
Mhm.
something that I said.
Okay.
And
Okay.
but no telling, I don't remember what I said.
It may have been that because, when you said, hey, I've already got to be out here fighting the world, I
Yeah.
don't want to have to come home and fight with you. I imagine a lot of men are going to resonate with that.
Oh
And I
yeah, that's
mean,
what he
just
said.
hearing you say that, I was like, hey, bing, 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 bing. You said something, you said something right there. And it's true. And then when you're
Yeah.
talking about entrepreneurship, just a roller coaster ride that can be,
Right.
different things, different challenges. You've got to be there to
Yeah.
encourage, because every day is not going to be a good day. You've got to
Yeah.
be able to be that listening ear. you
Right.
know,
'Cause you
uh,
remember, not to cut you off, I apologize, but
you're
you
fine.
remember that
Don't.
movie I think it was called Acrimony, and you remember, he was actually working on, I think it was a battery or something that he was working on, and she supported him for years
Yes.
until her family got in her head. And as soon as they were not together, that yeah, Liz says can't fight you and the world. And as soon as her family got in her head, things went to the left. And then he ended up hitting a battery hit for millions of dollars once they were no longer together. And I was
Is
like,
that what happened?
yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay. I remember it vaguely. But
yeah.
there were many, many rough years and many sacrifices. I remember
Yeah,
going through that.
there was a lot of now I will say for years everything was on her. It was like he
Mhm.
wasn't contributing anything. But it just seemed like as soon as the relationship ended, finally he got the call and it hit. And he did go back to, you remember when he supported, because you remember she lost the house and you remember he bought her family house back and
No.
he gave her a check back for I think $10 million.
See, maybe at that point I had already, sometimes I start out watching a movie and then the movie ends up watching me. So, no, I don't remember
Yeah.
any of that.
Oh
But I
wow.
would like to ask you a question as
Sure.
we watch that struggle of
Mhm.
them in the process of building, in the ups and downs and sacrifices that it takes in entrepreneurship. Because I feel for where I was able to watch,
Mhm.
I felt like she was all in. She supported him in every way, and I wanted to know, when do you decide, like, okay, I've been backing this project long enough.
it gets to the point where in that, using that movie again as an example, it got to the point where it was draining to her to where she could no longer carry the weight herself. It's just like it was as if he was working so much on this battery that he wasn't, I don't even remember him working at all. So everything was on her. She was working, seemed like multiple jobs, and it got to the point where it was draining. Now, I get supporting the dream, but when it gets to the
Mhm.
point where it's draining me,
Mhm.
bruh, I need some help. I
Well,
can't do.
let me say something because I hear you. Let me take
Mhm,
a sip of water. I hear you saying that everything seemed to be on her, right?
mhm,
If 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 she's the helpmate
mhm,
and his part of this venture is actually his creation,
mhm,
whatever his invention is,
mhm,
he's doing his part.
hmm.
That's what she decided to do. That's how she decided to help. Are we looking at it like that?
Well, you're right. You're right. So
Because
basically,
because you've got to be in there for both the triumphs and the challenges because
yeah, you do. And I've
like you
done,
said, the battery hit whatever it is he
yeah,
was creating. So,
yeah. Mhm.
we don't understand that timing, but it
You're
sounds to
right.
me that he was doing his part. But imagine going through that. How do you I don't know how women do it, but I do have a very good idea.
Mhm.
But what are some other things um that women can do in terms of offering some help? Because she didn't know anything about the particular invention he was doing. She couldn't help him do that.
Right, right. Tanya, drink some water. Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I don't know. It gets to the point. I guess I'm coming from the perspective that I was in. I felt like I was supportive, and it wasn't. Not only was I supporting the vision, but I was also doing other things as far as helping with different things. And it was to the point where I was constantly giving them encouraging words. I was pouring into them, doing different things. And I lost Tori. And it got to the point where I felt like I was literally being used.
Mhm.
So to answer your question, I guess for me, I can only answer it based on my experience. It got to the point where I feel like I was just being suckered and used,
Right.
and there was never any reciprocity. It got to the point where you relied on me to do a lot of things, and you
It gets
never. Yeah,
mhm.
it got
It gets
rough.
hard. It like I said, it's a challenge because just like anything, there's gonna be ups, there's gonna be downs,
Mhm.
and you've got to find a way to still be that encouragement. You still have to find a way to take care of yourself and your family.
Yeah.
And you've got to identify your strengths. You got to identify your skills. You got to know how you are benefiting this whole situation. And that could be whether you're helping with the marketing of it, whether you're helping in the finance, the organization of it, some of the
Mhm.
creative thinking,
Yeah.
whatever it is that you're good at, whatever your expertise is, you've got to figure out how that particular skill or your skill sets can assist in whatever area that he might need it, because that's going to help
Right.
lighten his workload. That's what's going to add value to the business, which is for the both of you, you know?
Right, right. Les says, if it was the other way around and the man was providing, would you feel the same? Um, to be honest with you, Les, I still would feel the same if he was providing. I would feel I would still feel the same way.
Well,
Because
go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead and finish your thought,
Well,
Tanya.
I was going to say, just it's just very tough. And this happens a lot, particularly in the younger stages of marriage. If
Mhm.
someone is an entrepreneur and they're really trying to make it, because you gotta, whether you have a good business idea or not, whether you want to, whatever that is, You can have a
Mhm.
great business idea, but you have to be able to take care of your family.
Right.
That's what it is.
Right.
And when we're talking about helpmate, we are
Mhm.
talking about help. Help means that you are doing something as well. It, we're not talking about being, and I hate to make it sound like this, but it can become burdensome. And particularly you may have kids, just to have
Mhm.
that struggle of not knowing how you're going to make it is tough. And I can't imagine that a man would want to be in that situation anyway, because I imagine he wants the same thing that she wants. So it's tough. It's tough on both of them. So I don't see it being easy on one side or the other. You've just got to know and learn how you can help.
Right. And I like what Cece says. Keeping up with C, what's up? Cece says, I had to learn how Kev needed my help. I used to offer my help, but to him, it felt like I was trying to take over. So I took a step back and told him to let me know how he needs my help. And now he asks for my opinion and help when he needs it. I love that.
Yeah.
And I love how Kev supports you as well, Cece. I love it.
Mhm.
That's dope.
We're
That's
gonna
really
we're gonna
dope.
talk we're gonna talk about that flip side of how men can assist women when they're doing it as well, because it is a different dynamic. But
Right.
I like what you said here as well, because oftentimes, it could seem like you're taking over if you're trying to tell them how to do something a particular way, and that's just not
Mhm.
how they vision it. That's a tricky line. But I also know
Mhm.
that, and I know from experience as well, it's like you're looking at what his weaknesses are, and you're feeling like you can help in that area, but does he want help there? You've got to
Right.
ask that.
Right. Absolutely. Amina says, Hey, Amina. Amina says, communication is key and consistent check ins to see how effective you are together is key. Ooh, I
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
that's a good one.
Definitely. Isaac, what's up, Isaac? Isaac says, This generation has no clue of what this means. They can't even get to this level because they're so caught up in getting what they can get right now. No one considers the future. If you build it, you can have unwavering financial freedom later on. Absolutely. That part.
You can. You absolutely
Man.
can.
Amina says, yes, communication of how we can help is key. I learned this as well because how I think I can be of assistance can be a hindrance because they may want assistance in a different way or different portion.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I agree with you. And I like what Isaac said about this particular generation. There's going to be some, I don't know in terms of weighted on what scale is doing more or less, but I happen to see a lot of young entrepreneurs around me. So I guess I'm pretty blessed to see that. And I see their
Mhm.
helpmates. I see how they support each other. And it's really something that I admire. But also that tricky line of whether a business or whatever the creative idea is, it may not work, guys. It may not
Mhm.
work. So that person holding on to the dream, we're not trying to be dream killers, but we've got to live. So we've got to find a way to navigate that as well. When do you decide enough is enough? I don't know. It's a tricky thing, but that
Mhm.
definitely is something that comes into play.
Absolutely. And Isaac says, women of today aren't trying to be helpmates. They're trying to be bosses, and she ain't got time to help him.
Listen, listen. I have been that help. I have done those administrative tasks. I
Yes.
managed those appointments, done paperwork, handled
Mhm.
emails, a lot of those essential things. And
Mhm.
those are some of the simple things that you can do, but those are things that have to get done. That a lot of men, let's be honest, they don't really like that part.
Right. 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 Les says we had business ventures through the years, but we had an understanding until the business feeds us, the boy has to eat. So you got to work. That's true.
Now,
So
I
true.
like that I like that a man said this, because
Yes.
I was
Yes.
wondering if it was going to come up. That's why I kept asking. That's why I kept asking,
Yeah.
because we can have ideas. We can
Mhm.
build, but we
Right.
still have to eat. We
Right.
have to. How are we going to manage that? So there has to be that conversation there. We have to make sacrifices for the sacrifices that we're making as women to be that helpmate.
Mhm.
It is help. He's got to make some
Yeah.
sacrifices too. So
Right.
that's where the balance comes in. So thanks for that comment, Les. I agree with you. We got to figure out how we're going to flip these light switches and lights come on.
Right. Cause see, here's the thing. In some situations, when we're helping in multiple areas, like if you're helping with the marketing, if you're helping financially, if you're helping with making sure things are done, that's why
Mhm.
in my situation it got a little draining because it was more areas that I could handle.
Yeah.
And it just
But
and it just felt like I was doing I'm like, wait a minute. This is your vision, not mine.
you're right, but there's many things that you can do that and small things, because
Yeah,
his project doesn't necessarily have to become yours, because what about if you have dreams and ideas too? So his
yeah,
doesn't have to become yours for you to still assist him in some ways,
yeah,
because you could be a networking partner. You can help him expand his professional network. You can introduce him to people, to relevant contacts. Make sure that you're attending certain industry and community events together. So there's many things that you can do. So just by your networking efforts, that can help
mhm,
open doors to opportunities that he may not have had. And it also can introduce him to collaborations for his business. So there's things that we can do as women that we bring into the whole mix that is very valuable to him. It is about more than just the money. And it's about
yeah,
more than, that financial assistance, but financial management, helping him budget, helping him keep track of expenses. You want to do that because that's going to play a big role in your household finances anyway. You know what I'm saying?
yes. I'm looking at Les' comment, but Les' comment that Les says, "Helpmate is not financially supporting a grown man child." Puffy wannabe.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Amen. Amen. I wish you could see me with my hands up in the air. I had to be careful because I was about to knock my microphone over. Because there is a difference. A helpmate is totally different from financially supporting a grown man.
Yeah,
You putting your life and your wife and your family under a lot of undue stress and strain, and that's not positive for your relationship. And if your relationship is not going to be positive and you're not winning at this business venture, everything is going to fall apart.
right,
So they've got to.
right.
So when you've got that idea, you still have to have the idea of how we gonna live. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
because we out here trying to help. There has to be
right,
some type of work balance and personal life type of balance, and that business balance. You know, you got to
right.
create that for both of you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because and I think just like Isaac was saying earlier about the generation today, let's say it's truth. The generation today, they're well, I'll say some because like you said, you are around some amazing young entrepreneurs, but I also see where we're in a generation where the um the woman want to be with men that make the you remember we were talking earlier, I think we had an earlier show, we were talking about the high value men. There's
Right.
I hate how that term is spoken of so loosely, but
Hmm.
the generation now, and even when I was coming up, like there are some women that they would only date a man when they're making a certain amount of money. And I'm different because I actually lost a friend, or what I considered a loss, but I had a friend when I was growing up that only dated men that were, I would say, what they consider high value, would
Hmm.
only date men that made a lot of money, drive the most fanciest car, and would be able to provide the material things. But see, me on the flip side, I'm not like that. I'm very frugal. You can take me to a picnic and I'm happy. And
Well, respect.
I was called stupid because I wouldn't date men for money.
Well, hear
I
this.
I was
Hear this. Because
yeah,
I really don't want the conversation to go in that lane at all, because
yeah,
we've had that a lot. But
yeah,
I get it. We get it.
yeah, yeah.
But I feel like, as
Mhm.
a young woman, young women,
Yeah.
I can understand how they would date potential, because you're both out here, you're trying to grow, you're figuring some things out, you want to have, that entrepreneur spirit. You haven't, you know, made your success yet. Young women can
Yeah.
do that. For
Yeah.
where I'm at in my age, no, absolutely
Yeah.
not. And I
Mhm.
know that I'm not in it for the wrong reasons. I have to protect myself and what I have. You do have to
Yeah.
be in a certain tax bracket. You do. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just that. But back to being a helpmate and being a help partner, you have to be able to, like all of us are agreeing to, you got to find ways of doing that. And there could be some ways that aren't as draining, just
Mhm.
more of a concern. Like if you're a
Yeah.
thought partner, just having
Yeah.
conversations with him, just allowing him to talk to you, being that soundboard, hearing his business ideas,
Mhm.
helping him brainstorm on certain strategies, and be there to provide like some constructive feedback for him. Those are things that I feel like are helpful to someone who's looking to start a business, or who's really driving to make their business successful. You got to be there. You might be able to, just by having that conversation, you can help him spark like a new idea, help him
Mhm.
solve a problem just by listening. That's helpful.
Right. Right. Amina says, I love August Wilson's Fences because it shows how women can sometimes sacrifice themselves while trying to be a helpmate. It's definitely about honesty, balance, and healthy communication and healthy boundaries. The reality is, a lot of women have unknown codependency issues and they misunderstand what the role of a helpmate is. So they make themselves martyrs and resent others for their inability to contribute without becoming a sacrifice.
Woo,
Whoo! that
girl.
that part. Ooh, wee.
Well, and he was just a man working a job.
Mhm.
He was a man working a job. She was a straight up
Ooh.
wife.
And listen, I can literally see that scene when she was crying, snot nose, and I can literally see the scene.
Right.
Ooh, that was
It
good.
happens. It
Oh my
happens.
God.
And in that particular case, I don't know
Mm,
so much that it fits into what this conversation is in terms of, that entrepreneur piece or that business piece, but definitely it
mhm.
is, she did everything that she felt that she could do as a wife to support her husband. He was a garbage
Yeah,
man. She
yeah.
did everything for him as a garbage man. We got women out here who are questioning whether or not they would date a bus driver, right? But look
Right,
at all of the sacrifices that she made in those sense. So, it happens.
right.
It happens. You can lose yourself.
Yes. Les says, as helpmates, encourage he or she or to put their vision on paper and plan it out. Set early boundaries on what you would and won't do to help. That's good.
That's a good one. And I've
Yeah.
had those I've had those conversations. Like I've put out here, okay, well, yes, I do have this skill, but this is not a skill that I am putting here under
Right.
under this situation, because you've got
Mhm.
to know your mate too. You might not even like working with them. They might not have the type of work attitude that you would want. They might not be the type of boss that you want to be under. So you've got to be real about that. And you can love a person and you can support their business without doing certain duties. But
Mhm.
but what Les is talking about here is one of those simple things, like just encourage them. Be that encouragement. Let's put this
Mhm.
out. Let's write this out. But when you find yourself becoming a crutch, and you're
Mhm.
doing so many things, and then things are become expected, like your help becomes an expectation,
Right.
that's a different ball game.
Whew. Amina says, knowing ourselves and values helps us to go to the right table, bring what we can, and build together.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, every partnership is gonna be unique. It is.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
some of the things that we're talking about are just some tips, some things that we can do. But the idea that we need to support our mate and be a support system for them, yeah.
Mhm.
Think anybody could be in a relationship and say, "Well, no, I'm not supporting you." No.
Yeah.
We wanna
Yeah.
be a helpmate. This is someone that you love. So
Right.
you absolutely play a vital role in their life. You play a vital role in their business, and you almost become a partner or a silent partner. It's just what duties are you agreeing to, like Les says. Put those boundaries there. Make sure those boundaries are there early. What are you willing to do and what you're not willing to do? This is what I
Right.
can offer to you, and then I can't help you here, but maybe I can introduce you here. And that
Right.
in itself is support. Be honest, because
Mhm.
if you're not willing to be obligated to that, be honest. That's going to be helpful. Now, Tori,
Yes.
question. Let's flip
Mm.
this. And everybody who's listening right now, we've talked about how women can be supportive of their men in their business ventures, helping them win their bread. But what about the reverse?
Oh, yeah.
How are men showing up to support those women who are who have great ideas and a entrepreneur spirit, who is a businesswoman? How are men showing up, and how does that work? What type of help do you get or have you gotten in some things that you feel like, okay, well, I know I'm good at this. How can my mate or my partner help me be better, help me grow this? What are some things that you wanted or you feel like could help you
You
from your
asking
mate?
me?
Yeah,
Oh, from my mate?
I'm asking you, anybody who wants to comment on it.
Well, when you were saying about the men, how are the men showing up? I actually, as far as that part of what you were saying, because you said a lot, you know, my short-term memory, child. So that's why I said, well, you asking me. But when you were saying the part about how are the men showing up, I see the men showing up as, like I said earlier, how I see Tabitha Brown husband support her and how he shows up for her. But locally, I love to see how Kevin loves and supports Cece, because I went to, matter of fact, Tanya, I think you was a speaker back in 2020 for the women's empowerment. Cece was selling her books at the time. And I remember how Kevin assisted her and she was setting her stuff up. He's like, I'm gonna bring your book to you. He said, you can go to your seat. And he brought me my stuff. I mean, I just love to see it. I see how Les shows up for Nicole. So there are some great examples. Now, as far as me experiencing it myself, I've yet to experience it. But I've seen it done. But you asked me the question, how would I want my mate to show up for me?
Yeah.
I would love for him to give me some encouraging words when I get discouraged, because you know, a lot of times being an entrepreneur and as far as different things that I have dreams and visions about, I want him to be like, babe, you know, don't give up, because there are going to be days that we're going to get discouraged, because I am a huge encourager. So I encourage people all the time, but I need
Right.
my mate to encourage me, like, keep going. I see
Yeah.
what you're doing. You're doing a phenomenal job. Even though if I feel like I'm not making an impact, for him to say, well, you may not see what I see, but you're making an impact. You're making a difference. So the biggest thing for me would just to encourage me on those days where I feel like I'm not making an impact. Because
I
for
got
me,
you.
in this stage in my life, it's not about the numbers or anything of that nature. It's about making an impact. It's about what I want my legacy to be when I no longer exist.
Mhm.
I want people to say, I am so grateful that Tori crossed my path.
Exactly.
And I
I
want
mean,
to,
that encouragement
yeah,
component, you know, having
yeah,
someone believe in you, that's
yeah,
gonna boost you. That boosts your confidence,
Yeah.
that boosts your motivation. And some of the
Mhm.
same things, men can show up in some of the same ways that
Mhm.
we as women show up for them when they're businessmen, when they're, when they're leading a project, being
Mhm.
patient and being a good listener, being a safe
Right.
place for you to kind of express yourself,
And that part
providing that valuable feedback that you're talking about.
and that part, what you just said, that's important as well, being that safe space. Oh my
Mhm.
God.
And
That
that
is so
and that goes
beautiful.
both ways, right?
Yes,
Sh and
absolutely.
sharing domestic responsibilities, being
Yes.
an equal partner in the household, and that's what
Mhm.
chores, the kids, all of those
Yeah.
responsibilities that we have to take care of when we're taking care of a home and a family, sharing that load, you know?
Right,
So that's
right,
important. And of course,
right.
we want them to champion our success, celebrate those
Absolutely.
achievements openly and proudly with us. Like, I want somebody who's gonna be like my biggest cheerleader, you know?
Right.
My
And you know
biggest
what?
cheerleader.
And you know what I wanna say before we, put the comments up?
Mhm.
In regards to be careful when you're dating someone or you're in a relationship with someone, be careful and mindful and pay attention because sometimes you can be in a relationship and you are being successful, but your partner, because I've been in a relationship before where my partner, the reason why they were not supporting me was because he had a jealousy. He
Oh,
did
yeah.
not like the way people loved me, and he was jealous of my success.
It happens.
So, yeah, so that was the thing. I was like, "What?" And based on we had a conversation about it, and everything he said was basically telling me that I'm jealous of you. And I'm like,
Yeah.
"What?"
I've been there, unfortunately. I hate that that is an experience that I can relate to, but I do know.
Cece says, Kev listens to my ideas, gives advice, and constructive criticism, shares my posts, shouts me out at his events, and puts me on the spot to talk about my business, even when I don't want to speak in front of people. And he has bought any equipment that I've mentioned I needed for or wanted, etc. I definitely couldn't ask for a better support system in him. And I see
Come
it.
on.
I
Absolutely.
see it. I see it.
Absolutely. And it's also, and another good thing too, it's also
Mhm.
good when your partner can collaborate with you and share a certain expertise. So they can
Yes.
collaborate with you on a project,
Right.
whether that's professional or personal, but when they have a
Right.
skill within what you do, if you're a content creator, if you're a podcaster or a
Mhm.
vlogger, and they're kind of in that field a little bit too. So you do
Yeah.
get to combine your strengths. So that's going to be great because that's going to help you achieve your goal a little bit, help you achieve it
Yeah.
faster or do a better
Absolutely.
job at it because you got more than one person who is working on this thing. So you
Right.
combine those strengths.
Right. And, what I was also gonna say, like, sometimes, like, for us, we're in media, and there are some men, 'cause I've had a guy that I had a friend that liked me, but he was like, "Nah, Tori, you in the spotlight too much." And I'm like, "What do you mean? I'm not in the spotlight that." And it's like he's like, "Nah, I'm low key. You be too many places. People know you." Like I went somewhere. We went on, went to dinner, and people was like, "Tori, hey Tori," and then somebody was like, "Hey Tori," and somebody else. He's like, "Dog, does everybody know?" I'm like, "No, it just probably seemed like that. We are local, but he was like, nah, you know too many people know you. And some men can't handle that. Some people are low key, but even if you're in the background, just as long as you support me, because we don't expect you to be out in the front like we are, because we
Mhm.
don't always want to be in the spotlight.
Right.
Sometimes we want to be in the cut and low key, but that was one of the things too where he's like, you're in the media. I don't like the spotlight. But
I got you.
can we go ahead.
I said, I got you. I follow you.
Amina says, I just started really sharing more about my business with my husband because, like Isaac pointed out, I had the female boss syndrome and I struggled with believing that he or others were willing to help me. The reality was, I was a dreamer who wasn't organized and wasn't good at delegation. Now that I've opened up and started sharing my business with him, he has helped me gain clarity, but also holds me accountable so that I'm actualizing, not just dreaming. Oh, I love that.
That's important.
I
That's
love that.
important.
Cece says sharing the load in the home and with the kids is definitely important, especially when both people have dreams they're chasing. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. You've gotta be
Absolutely.
equal partners in that home decision making. That's
Mhm.
very important, you know? Very, very important.
Right. And Amina says, this year, being pregnant, it is a challenge for me to be as independent as I used to as an inflatable business operator. He has become my muscle. I feel good that any other time I can do it by myself, but so grateful that I don't have to do it by myself. Ooh, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I like that.
Absolutely.
I like
Mm,
I mean, those are some of the things that we want. You know, you really do want that type of help, your muscle, even if they're your financial partner. You know, if
right.
there's somebody who can discuss those financial goals with you, if they're being the breadwinner, because you brought up in the very beginning the dynamics of Tabitha Brown and her marriage.
Yes.
I like
Yeah.
how they flexed in between, okay, who's gonna make sure that we can eat? We taking care of what we
Yeah.
got to do.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Everybody kind of holds their weight. And but
Mhm.
at the same time, she was always willing to take a job too. So it wasn't like she was just pursuing her dream and felt like it all had to be on him. So
Right.
that's where that communication comes in. But
Right.
yeah, you got to have that.
Right. Les says, I get not wanting spotlight, but wanting to be that low key could speak to something else. What they had.
You
Les.
understand? PD's most wanted. Hmm. Out here doing things. Don't want to be on. Can't mess
Oh.
around and get on no video or picture being taken because they out here was got other relations. Might be married. His wife see him up, you know, talking to MsTonya or Tori, and what was you doing there? You understand me? I know the game. Les, you were right. We gonna put your comment up again. We gonna put it up again. What Les says? I get not wanting spotlight, but wanting to be low key could speak to something else. What they
Oh,
hiding?
goodness.
I could just get what they hiding. Exactly, Les. Exactly. And women need to be thinking like that. Okay?
Oh,
Hiding stuff.
goodness. Cece
See?
laughing. Ooh, what's up, Donald Brown? The meek
Hey, Donald.
apparel in the building. What's up? Donald says most men gives guidance on making sound business decision based on facts rather than emotions because y'all get emotional.
Donald, you're right. Most women do. And that's
Oh,
why it is
goodness.
always important to have some of that male energy around you. That I love, and that's probably one of the things that I miss about having that mate to kind of bounce things off of, because I
Mhm.
always find that important. And for me now, not being married anymore, I still the ideas that I have male friends that I'm going to have those conversations with because I know I want that point of view. It is so important. Now, I don't know if a lot of women admit this or if they just want to live in complete denial. It's
Mhm.
very important to have a male perspective in anything that
Right.
you do. So I value that. I just
Mhm.
happen not to be married at the present time.
Right. 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 I'm gonna say no comment because I ain't entertaining nothing right now. So I'm just out here. I'm just out here trusting God.
You
I
know,
just,
I
yeah.
can trust God and do my shenanigans. He's a forgiving God.
And is, and is, and is.
Yeah, I be getting forgiven. I be getting forgiven. I do.
Oh goodness. And CC says that's definitely true. A male perspective is needed and valued. It absolutely is.
You
Yeah,
gotta have it. You gotta
absolutely.
have it.
Yeah,
I love it.
absolutely.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
But that's Tori. We
CC,
see
look
how
at
men
CC
can help
last
us.
comment. She said, y'all are hilarious. And we are. That's just how we do. That's just how we do.
Listen, we already told y'all sometimes we have serious conversations and sometimes they get a little lighthearted. They can be a little petty. They might be a little funny, but I'm being honest.
You are. That's what I love about you. Always honest.
Yeah,
Amina says, "Oh yes, the rationale is much needed. Not only am I emotional, but passionate, and I keep wanting to volunteer, give back, and sow seeds. But having a husband has helped me to know I am not a nonprofit. Goodwill and commitment to community will not pay my bills." Yep, true.
exactly.
That's true. That is so
And a
true.
man gonna let you know, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
He gonna
And
let
I
you
will
know.
say, this, my right now, because I'm not in a relationship, but one of the men that has a strong voice in my life is my brother. But the thing about my brother, oh my goodness, sometimes his delivery can be harsh, but he's gonna give it to me raw and uncut. And
But
sometimes
that's
I'm
what
like,
we
oh my,
need.
yeah, but
And they
sometimes I'm like,
and they're
Lord,
giving it to you with love. That's the
yeah,
beauty of it is because you're receiving it with love. So when you go out here
yeah,
and you're doing your business and you're working with an overall population of people, you know how
yeah,
to deal with them.
right, absolutely, absolutely. Absolutely.
I tell
And
you
I'm
what,
looking at
go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead before you lose your thought. Go ahead.
I ain't gonna lose my thought. And if I do, I don't care. My grandma used to say, if it was that important, it'll come back to you. I ain't stressing that.
Okay.
I'm not. But what I was going to say is I appreciate, how our people have been here in the chat. The listeners, they really are coming in with some good little tips and things that we need to be thinking about because support is important on both sides of this thing now. And I got to tell you, I'm glad you decided to have this conversation because like
Mhm.
we said, there's too many other relationship conversations that are just not helpful. And I feel like
Right.
this one is because we're willing
Yeah.
to put things on the table and tell people what we need, help where we
Right.
can help, ask for help where we need help. So I like this one. Good choice.
Right. Yeah. I've been following him for a while, and he has a lot of great points. There's so many, but that one really stuck out because
Hmm.
I had a flashback when I watched that one. I thought, "Oh, good. This is good. We need to talk about this." So I'm glad we talked about it. It's great. And whoever, let me tell you, whoever son date me or marry me in the future, they gonna be getting the best version of Tori. You hear me?
All right now.
I've learned a lot. And like I said, when my ex told me, he's like, Tori, I'm already fighting with the world. Why I got to come back and fight with you too?
Come on.
That stuck with me. And I
As
made the
it should
necessary,
have.
yeah, and I made the necessary changes. Now I still got some other things I gotta work on, but
We
that,
got issues.
yeah, that spoke volumes. I never forgot that. I never forgot that. So now he'll message me from time to time. He's like, "I see you. I see
Oh, so you
you."
trying to make a little, go around the corner one more time.
Oh no, 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 no. He just will tell me, "I see you. Hey, I love what you're doing, and I see you have grown a lot."
Well, maybe
He'll
that's,
be
you know what? That should be a topic of conversation. When people swing back around the corner, like, because people make that sound like it's a bad thing. But what if the person has grown? What if the person has grown and it really could work? We need to let's think about it because I'm not
Mm.
saying nothing. Don't nobody have no ideas at the sound of my voice who know my voice. Have no ideas. 'Cause
Mm.
that ain't what I mean. But it is a good conversation.
That would be a great conversation.
It is. It would be because some people grow. Now, not the people that are
Right.
my exes. No, they haven't grown. But I know it's some people out there who have. And
Right.
I think it's something that we should be willing to visit.
Right. I think so. And Cece agrees. She says that's definitely a good conversation. So I think we need to, yeah, I think
We'll,
that we need
we'll,
to
we'll
have that
think about it.
conversation.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, girl, we
Yeah.
done talked enough on this one here today. Our time is almost up.
Yeah.
It's like we right on that hour, like right on it.
Listen, we have so much fun on the time go by too fast. God
It
dang,
it be
it goes by
flying by.
fast. But y'all already know, make sure you catch MsTonya weekdays, Monday through Friday, Noontime, My Time podcast, weekdays at 12 noon. And of course, I'll be with her on Tuesdays, which I look forward to the conversation. So make sure you keep those DMs, whatever you want us to talk about. Direct those DMs to Tanya and she'll put it together. We go talk about it, get the video, keep sending those videos. I love how the interaction has been. And also, let me say this. Let me put this out here, Tanya. Now, this weekend, we're going to be representing 3 brands. The Brown South Girls, Keep the Faith podcast with Tori, and Talk It Out Tuesday with Tori and Tanya. Y'all catch us in these streets this weekend because we're going to be lit at Fantasia and Joe concert, and I'm looking forward to it. So, yeah.
I'm real excited. I'm real excited. You know I love Joe. Joe could have been my baby daddy if he knew me, if I knew him. I'm just saying. All right, girl. We get ready to close this thing down. I appreciate it. Always fun talking to you on Tuesday. I definitely look forward to.
Yeah.
All right.
Peace out, y'all.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Y'all too.
All right, y'all. Y'all heard it. Y'all heard the conversation. Power partners. It's important to know where you can help your partner. It's important to be a good helpmate. Set those expectations, set those boundaries, have those discussions. You got to know where your strength is. You got to know where you can be supportive. You got to know your value. All right. You know what we got to do, guys, before we get out of here? We got to do a little breath work. We breathe when we come in. I want us to breathe, taking it out so that you guys can enjoy the rest of your day. All right, now, y'all be good out here. Let's do some breath work. Inhale to the count of 4. Hold that a few seconds. Exhale. Hold that a few seconds. Inhale again. Hold a few seconds. Exhale. And hold that a few seconds. Inhale one more time. Hold a few seconds. And exhale. Yeah. Well, don't you feel great? I feel great. I appreciate you guys. And if nobody gave you a smile today, if nobody smiled today, you just close your eyes and give yourself a big smile and see how that feels for you. All right? Y'all be great out here. It's what we do. One love, y'all.